Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Maconi Entertainment here for the ARCA series from Kansas. We're live here on a Wednesday night. Jeff Maconi's in the session and ready to go along with everybody else. We'll be here for the next 4 weeks or so throughout September, giving you an ARCA race on the Wednesday night, 6:30 p.m. ET green flag. Over the course of the next 4 weeks, you're very welcome to join in. Myself, Ewan O'Leary, and Ron Mounds will take you through the action tonight with Harry behind the cameras, as always. Good to be alongside you for this one, Ron. High-speed nature of this circuit, as always. The ARCA cars, which I thoroughly enjoyed covering with you last week, by the way, on a Friday. And, we're here for the next 4 weeks, which should be very, very exciting in these cars. Not Kansas, of course, every time, but yeah, should be exciting in these cars at this circuit tonight, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a very fun combination. This is gonna be some fun. It's happy to be back here for the boot camp. We had this little mini series, as we called it, back in, I think it was May. It was in the spring and like early summer when our boss man, Mr. Jeff Maconi, had his ARCA debut at Nashville Fairgrounds a little bit earlier on this year, and we're back again. So he's going to be running in the ARCA race at Kansas in a couple of weeks' time. So the boss man getting a little bit of practice time in here. Currently in the midst of qualifying, though, with the checkered flag about to come out. But yeah, we got a 100 lap long race that lies ahead, not only this week, not only next week, but in some of the weeks that lie ahead as well. Gonna be a fun little series. We're gonna kick back our feet, relax, and have a pretty good time over the next few weeks.
We certainly will. Only a few seconds to go in this qualifying session at the moment, and I can tell you that most of the drivers have not set times down towards the back. Only 13 have got times in so far. Zen Yost is the final driver out there on the circuit at the moment, and he's just about going to get there to the line in time. Would have done, but stopped on the back straight, and that's the end of that. So 13 drivers, as I say, with times. I think nearly the same amount without, maybe slightly over-egging it there. I think there's 22 in the session overall, so that's 9 without times. But even so, that's a pretty good field here from Kansas tonight. So looking forward to the racing getting underway here in a few moments' time. Now this session is complete, we can move forward into those laps, as you say. 100 laps on the board, and that should be a lot of fun. We'll have a look at the grid in a moment. See in the background there, the sun is just setting. The floodlights will be on here in a moment for this race. It's Larry Pace who's taken the pole, with Terry Henry alongside. 64 thousandths separating those two on the front row of our ARCA grid here tonight. Greg John and Jeff Maconi will be third and fourth. Maconi only getting into the session quite late on, and he's qualifying late on, I should say. Qualifies fourth in the end, just in time. Abram Ghoston and Jeff Reamer will be then on row 3. Seventh place has gone to Jason Wren, who is alongside Kevin Marsh in the Ford in 8th place. 9th place has gone to Brianna Thompson, with Zenyo Strong rounding out the top 10.
And then looking through the drivers outside the top 10, the drivers continue on with the number 11 car starting in P11. That's Mike Wambold in that machine alongside Dylan Lee starting this race in 12th. Looking right behind on row number 7, it'll be Ronald Grayson alongside Logan Fielder starting this race in P13 and P14 respectively. It'll be Andrew Megrenagel starting this race in P15. Very nice name for that 15th place starter, alongside Brian Cook cooking it up to P16 in that qualifying session. Shane Jenkins will start this race in P17 alongside Warren Cook in the number 20 car. And then rounding out our top 20 here tonight will be Tyler Alexander and Shane Loveridge.
This is deep in the drivers now, who didn't set times throughout the qualifying session for one reason or another. Owen Bridges, 21st in number 21, fits quite nicely alongside Bryce Deguvara at the back of the field, and I think there might have been one more at the back. Oh no, there wasn't. 22, I miscounted. So yeah, 11 rows and 22 in the field here tonight for our ARCA race from Kansas. They make their way round the formation lap now. As I mentioned at the beginning of this broadcast, it's going to be a very, very fast race. I mean, we'll see what the caution count is like, and that could slow the whole race down. But actually, when they're green flag racing, this is going to be, a really, really fast track, even for these ARCA cars, Kansas Speedway.
Yeah, it's an intermediate, which is pretty much just as big of a track as ARCA goes to more often than not, with the exception of the plate races. So it is going to be a rather quickly paced race for these racers here this evening. And speaking of pace, Larry Pace up at the top of the field as we're about to grab the green here in a few moments' time. He has been dominant in some of these boot camp races before. One of the top ARCA racers on the entirety of iRacing. Nice to see him out here on the racetrack tonight. He's going to be firing it off right at the front of this field. But here we go, Ewan.
Here we go, coming to the green here in the ARCA Series from Kansas here on Wednesday nights. Larry Pace brings them into the restart zone and gets the race underway. Green flag here from Kansas. Already, as you can see, Larry Pace slows down on the back straight. Not sure quite why, actually, as he slowed down to let a number of drivers through. Jeff Maconi already gets to the front, and you can see just 17 drivers actually taking the start. So a number of those drivers who practiced and qualified did not take the start to this race, and so that slightly reduces the field slightly. Warren Cook also having issues on this first lap. He's 10 seconds off the back of the pack.
Yeah, so not sure what the deal was for Warren Cook. May have started this race from pit lane and did not take to that formation lap, but either way, not sure what the deal happened there with Pace coming at turn number 2. Looked like he may have had a wiggle on that, or he just decided to drop the anchors. Either way, very bizarre stuff from him. Jumping up to the front of the field, though, looking at this badly, nearly 3-wide racing as they head their way all through into turn number 1. Everybody saying the quick laps. Jeff Weimer, in the midst of an absolute hornet's nest with himself, goes to the number 22 car. Jason Brent also looking to get involved in that battle as they look to jump their way up into the podium spot. Terry Henry currently holding on to P2 right behind Maconi.
Very tight. Oh, very close there between the two of them. That's Weimer and Henry. The second place. This front group, though, starting to separate itself from the rest. The top 8 just getting a bit of a gap back to those further behind. Maconi still leading, though. It's tight for the lead. And again, oh, that's up the racetrack for Weimer. Now, either side of him, Ghoston and Jason Wren are both going to try and come through. In fact, it's only going to be Jason Wren who's on the inside line and now looking for third.
As you can see, the drivers really starting to migrate around the track, trying to figure out any way in the book to get past their competitors. Larry Pace, I thought, was going to have an accident and hang down to the turn as he went down the inside the number 22 of Abram Ghoston. That could have ended in disaster as they had their way down the backstretch, but here we go, side by side up in the front. Terry Henry looking to get a move done on Maconi. He's going to rip the wall, run up on that high side, and keep that momentum rolling, hang down the back straightaway. But Larry Pace reeling in. These racers says, holy cow, Jason Red nearly wrecks himself.
Oh, and he's just about held on to it. It's not over yet. Still 3 wide in the mid-pack as 93 and 48 go high. That same Ghost and Brianna Thompson both going. And look at that, either side now of Jason Wren. Momentum's so important here from Kansas these days, and he hasn't got any of it at the moment. Outside lineman type of Zen Yost up high. We saw him take the fastest lap a few moments ago. Oh, and a spinner. Finally, it's happened for Jason Wren. We saw it was going to at some point. Lots of momentum lost, and finally it has here on lap 6. No caution still out there on the track. Now we do get a caution. So the 2 car, that's not the 2 car, somebody else at the 9, though, really damaged. That's Shane Jenkins.
That was Dylan Lee in the midst of that drama with Shane Jenkins as well. The number 24 is what he's marked off on the graphics, but he has a number 2 on his car, so we will shame him as a result of that. But a big incident heading off through turns number 1 and 2, and there you can see the 26 car losing it. Didn't really get to see whether or not there's contact involved in all that, or if he just looped it on his own. That crashed a little bit farther behind. Certainly one of the reasons why we've had this first yellow.
This is where it all started, so or at least when the momentum was being lost for Wren. So this was rewound a little bit. You can see the 2 and the 9 on the outside. Mentioned it was 3 wide. Wren was stuck in the middle. He just goes up a bit too high, gets into the side of the 2, and Jenkins is the innocent one in that one, really, who gets smashed into the outside wall. Wren eventually spins himself around, but he should get away without damage, Jason Wren. Even so, they do get a fast repair. Wren should be able to keep that for later, but you can have all the fast repairs you want. That 9 car is towed back to pit lane, and so it's going to take a long time to get back on the circuit, as everybody, apart from the top 4, come down pit lane for the first time.
And now we get into the strategy talk about this race. It's going to be a big factor as to figuring out who's going to be able to get the job done. But with these quick yellows, it's going to be a little bit tough for those racers who made that call to come down pit lane to actually catch back up to the field. You can see the lights out on that pace car. We'll be getting it restarted this time by. So those drivers who came in, if they can time it perfectly, they're going to have a monumental run on these racers. But if they don't time it right, they may be at a risk of potentially going a lap down. That or just dropping down like it's going out of style.
Yeah, so why is this a thing? Why has everybody come down this time round and they're going green the very next lap? I don't quite understand that. But
Power of quick yellows.
I guess quick yellows, but then when you see a quick yellow, would you be coming in? I wouldn't, but anyway, I'm not driving, so there you go. Maconi then will bring them back to the green. Still 92 to go tonight from Kansas Motor Speedway. Sophie and O'Leary, Ron Mounds taking you through the action. They have just about caught up in the background, although some of them, as you say, Ron, will get a massive run over the rest because Maconi's going to hold them just for a moment into the restart zone. And finally, we are back underway. Green flag again. First restart of the night from Kansas.
Those racers a little bit farther behind, kind of stacking up. I would not be too shocked if there were any sort of penalties that came out of all that. Looking clean, though, on that restart. A little bit surprised about all of that as they're 3 wide right behind. Holy cow. That's a 42 of Ronald Grayson, the 11 of Mike Wambold, and the 48 of Brianna Thompson throwing haymakers at each other. And a big wiggle there for the 42 of Grayson. Got a bit of a bad bump heading down that back straightaway. That 42
contact!
Car!
Oh, Ghoston there got into the side of, and there's a big crash on the front stretch. They're all scattering to avoid through the grass. Big wreck. It's gone on for ages, this one. Big spins down towards the bottom of the circuit. It was started by Abram Ghoston, who was down the inside there, I think, of 93, you just saw there. Let's see it again here. Ghoston in the 22, I think, was looking for a gap that wasn't there through 3 and 4. There's the 93 coming down, and Ghoston just runs straight into Zane Yost there and causes a calamity coming off of 4.
Causes a catastrophe as they headed their way off through there. That was not very smartly done, I gotta say, from the number 22. Lots of race cars getting torn up and all that. Unfortunate for Yost. Unfortunate for the 42. The 22 got a piece of that drama as well. Of course, the original inflictor of the drama. As we take a look at this from Loden Feuder's perspective, let's see him heading his way down into the turn. The contact being made right in front. Not a lot that he can do as the cars scurry about. Oh, wow! Got a flipper! Holy cow!
That was very, very well righted by Kevin Marsh. Well, it didn't do much to actually make that happen, but anyway, he's very lucky. This will be quite a camera shot. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen to this self-righting camera. Here we go. On board, fixed in the car. Look at this, completely innocent. Just
holy crap!
Oh dear, it's one of those strange angles, isn't it? When you hit somebody else at sometimes at such a strange angle like that, just go straight over, and that's what happened to Kevin Marsh.
I'll tell you what, if that catch fence wasn't there, that would have been a sport ender. We're going to take a look at the slow motion replay of this from Marsh. The drama going on all around him, the sparks flying, contact being made. He hits the wall, hits the catch fence with a rear end housing, and he keeps that car going. He lands on his wheels. I mean, granted, that would have not been a comfortable ride at all, but style points being awarded to Marsh, the fact he was able to get that car. And I'll tell you what, well done to the safety crews, cleaning up this track already as we're about to get a race restart.
And it's going to be another restart where the field looks like it's 2004 again, because everyone's on the inside and there's about 2 people on the outside. Looks like an early race restart from the 2000s to me, but anyway. Maconi brings himself towards the start-finish line again. Only he and Terry Henry have not been in so far, and they bring the field to the green from the front row. That 2-car still looks very damaged to me, but it's still running there on the low side, just in amongst all of these guys. Trying to identify that one in a moment. It's really congested here, and this is dangerous now. 3 wide moment already, as they're not really learning the lessons of that last crash. Very nearly saw it again there into 1 and 2.
Yeah, I feel like if these racers are turning up the wick even more so despite that horrific accident that just took place a couple of moments ago, I do not envy the position the catch fence around this track. Look at the 42 really cutting shapes down the inside, the 72, I should say, as they head their way off through the apron. Oh, contact being made! That's the 17, the 23.
And it looks like we're going to stay green. As long as he's avoided, goodness me. That's Terry Henry One of the two drivers on old tyres going into pit lane at the end of this lap, surely, after that crash. And again, it looked like a similar situation to the previous yellow that we just saw coming out a moment ago. The field at the front, though, is very spaced out. That is Jeff Weimer, who is very damaged, but still running fourth. The top three have broken away, with Maconi still leading.
And the 23, the accessory involved in all of that drama, heading off to this exact same part of the racetrack, just one lap ago between himself and the number 17. He's still running, still running inside the top 5. He's probably going to drop down even more. See, the thing is, missing a front bumper, that could work on a short track, can't really work here at Kansas. That is basically going to be a giant parachute that number 23 car of Jeff Weimer is dragging around this track. May be good as an air conditioning mod, may not have to worry about overheating, but that's still going to be a concern heading around this very fast and flat out racetrack. We jump to this top 3 though, with Larry Pace, Jeff Maconi, and Zane Yost coming back from disaster after a moment a little bit earlier on. And now let's look at the 93 on the inside of the 86 all through 4.
You get a faster pair, so Yost able to stay in the game at least here tonight. Maconi on the outside, sort of having his line taken away. Now he'll be able to take it through the high line quite nicely, but he's on those older tyres, and even at 10 laps or so older, you can notice the difference. So you could, when Larry Pace was behind, maybe Maconi's going to retake this lead all over again. Oh, is that 3 wide? A car coming out of the pit lane again. I think that is Terry Henry in the 17, who's just repaired his car, and he's now 2 laps down. He's going to have a job on his hands to work his way back to the lead lap, but he's going to get involved in this group because he'll want to beat them all and get onto at least 1 lap down all over again in time for the next caution.
Yes, I gotta wonder how exactly it's all going to work out with these front racers, with those lap down cars, maybe trying to get a piece of all of this drama. But we're running on board right now with Zane Yost as Maconi on the high side of Larry Pace as they head their way off into turns number 3 and 4. Pace and Maconi duking out once again for a win in an ARCA race. Now, where have I seen this before? Zane Yost, though, has a very good shot of doing well in this event as well. These racers also looking to settle into a groove. 18 laps now on the board of this 100 lap long race, and haven't really had too long of a green flag run. I think these racers want to change that here.
Looks like it as well. The way that restart went seems to have just thinned out the field a little bit, and that seems to be helping. Before, it was almost looking more like a super speedway, to be honest with you. But now it's a bit more thinned out. As we go back to the battle for 4th place, is Brianna Thompson, Tyler Alexander, Ronald Grayson, Brian Cook, all here, and nearly 3 wide. As Grayson comes to the inside, that's Thompson round the outside, and Alexander was rather shoved out there. We'll get a bit of pace though on the outside here, a bit of draft as well, and straight back up to 5th place. Another one of those groups, much like the one for the race lead, only this for 4th place.
And this battle's still going to be intense between all of these racers. I gotta say, well done to these racers. They got the drama and the wrecking out of their system rather early on with that 17 looking to get a piece of all this drama just to unlap himself somewhat. It wouldn't be a complete, turnaround for him in this race, but still a lot of racing action left to go here this evening. There's a lot that you can do in 80 laps to improve your standing, even with the drama we've had already in this event. Let's look at the 42 and the 48 duking out. That's Brianna Thompson and Ronald Grayson all through turns number 3 and 4, side-by-side racing going on right behind, involving Brian Cook in the 12 and Jason Wren in the 26. All of these racers looking to duke it out. Now Wren going to get involved in that battle, potentially with Thompson and Grayson.
Just backing away at the moment for now. This is further back, the battle for 10th place, involving Logan Fielder, Mike Rombold, Ghoston, who might have just found the wall there. It was that Rombold, sorry, in the 11 it was, who just found the wall. Jeff Weimer is also here as well in 23. This is another one of those groups further back in the pack as Maconi and Pace go side by side again. That's Terry Henry up ahead now, and he's got ahead of Pace, so that's exactly what he needed to do. Don't disrupt these leaders too much, but get onto 1 lap down, and he's got a chance tonight to get back into the game. Maconi uses that to retake the lead from Larry Pace.
Yeah, these two once again duking it out. Now, I gotta say, in reference to Larry Pace and Jeff Maconi battling, we know that Larry Pace is a very good driver and Jeff Maconi is a good driver, and we get more money whenever we say that. Quick little advice to you. But we also know, because Jeff has said it in the past, is holy cow, as they get oh so close to making contact at turn number 2. That just about proves the point that I was going to raise. Jeff has admitted in the past that him battling with Larry Pace, it's like itchy and scratchy. Those two getting each other's heads, more so Pace getting in the head of Maconi, causes him to push the issue a little bit too much, and then eventually his tires just get worn down to the canvas. Thankfully, his rear shocks are holding up, unlike some occasions in the past. But right now, Maconi having to hold on to a race car, and I think it's the usual case of him burning up his tires a little bit, trying to battle with Pace, and now that gap is starting to balloon out between the two.
That's really gone out to 2/3 of a second, 3/4 of a second nearly as well. Just wonder when the older tyres are going to start to bite Maconi here, because not taken any yet, and we're a quarter of the way through the day, whereas Pace and Yost have been in. And you see over the last 2 laps, it's 8.5 tenths of a second nearly, and you're seeing it up to 9 now, nearly a second now, but Zen Yost is not able to find his way past Maconi yet. I get the feeling that he's probably about as quick as Larry Pace, but can't quite get through for the moment, as Pace actually now catches up to the lapped cars, some of whom have just unlapped themselves from him.
Yeah, now that we get a little bit farther along in this race, I gotta wonder how the tire difference is going to work out here. We saw some racers going with the interesting strategy of pitting a little bit earlier on. Let's just keep our eyes on that. See how it's all gonna work as that's a 26. Oh!
That's a hard hit. Wow. Jason Wren into the wall. Not his first time spinning around tonight, but it's his biggest contact with the wall by some distance. That's probably the biggest crash we've seen so far tonight. You see 42 having a look down the inside, but doesn't really affect this one. 26 goes round into a spin as it grabs the grip on the apron. It smacks the wall hard, and somebody was really close to getting involved there, by the way.
Oh, as we ride on board, I'm very thankful to say that we're running an iRacing. If that was in real life, even with the wonderful safer barriers and the awesome safety of these ARCA machines, I think he probably would have been turned into a fine red paste upon impact.
Excuse me, that was a big crash. This is a full caution coming up, by the way. Who is that? Oh, it's 48. So lucky to avoid, although there was a bit of contact, I think, actually, with Brianna Thompson. So there may be some damage there on 48, but anyway, that's a big hit for Jason Wren. Unfortunately, it looks like Kevin Marsh is already out of the race, by the way, and Wren may well be as well, as everybody's coming into pit lane on lap 27. That's not a surprise.
So everybody making that call to pit right as I was talking about the tires maybe playing a factor. Not going to be an issue anymore. These racers got to come in for some brand new General tires on their car, top up on some fuel, and we'll have to see how long they will be able to make it up and being brought up again. This being a full yellow, we will see some racers get the wave around. We already saw that with these batch of drivers making that call to come down pit lane. Saw some drivers just hauling the mail in the back of shots. But here we go. That's Maconi out and away. The 22 still stopped in the box. Larry Pace not going at all, though. I wonder if everybody who's coming out of the pits right now decides to take only 2 tires.
Yes. It looks like there's a lot of drivers, by the way, staying on pit lane for a long time with either penalties or repairs. Or some people maybe wanted to go to the back. Larry Pace has shown good pace so far and maybe wants to do exactly that. But just 6 drivers getting out there in what I would describe as a reasonable time. So that's created a lot of drivers laps down as sorry, not laps down, or distance from the field, I should say. We should have 15 still on the lead lap here as they get out just in time for them to come round to the front straight again. Maconi's still going to lead ahead of Zane Yost, but very interested to see what happens here with the with everybody on new tyres, as we're going to have on this new restart here.
With this restart, there's a lot that's probably going to change about it. We got to wonder how it's all going to work out. And after the longest green flag run in this race, will we be able to keep that same form going, or will we potentially have a bit more yellow interruptions as we go a little bit farther along in this race?
All right, can you explain why everybody's lined up on the inside other than the first 2 rows. What are they doing?
See, in the event of anybody getting a end of longest line penalty, I think that could be it. So that may potentially be the reason. Could see some. Yeah, I think it being brought up by our producer Howie Burr is doing a wonderful job. Cameras and the graphics and the virtual production truck could also be down to the fact that a lot of people packing up and pairing up a little bit late. So some people late to the restart party, shall we say?
Yeah, looks like it. Certainly on the previous restart, everybody restarted a little bit later. To be honest with you, I prefer the lap cars on the inside and lead lap cars on the outside, to be honest. I thought that was a better way of doing it, but anyway, that's a long time ago now. Meanwhile, race about to restart. 71 to go here from Kansas. Another restart for Jeff Maconi to control, and he does so as the green flag waves again.
They're already 3 wide farther in the back. Clearly, even with that drama that brought out that latest yellow, these racers still tempting fate.
A little bit. See, off of 2, at least a couple of rows of 3 wide down the backstretch here. But Maconi leads single file. Grayson's up to second. Zen Yost has gone backwards so far, but he's on the outside of Brianna Thompson at the moment and looking to hold on to at least 3rd place.
And this is going to be a good scrap as they head their way down into 1 and 2. Who's going to be able to get that done? Will Larry Pace try and stick a nose in that? He's alongside the 48 to 93 with a fantastic save.
What a save that was. I can't believe he saved that car there. That was certainly going to be a big field smash up, but thankfully he just about saves it. Zen Yost, what a great save that was. It shows you that some of these race cars are super loose, and we saw it with Jason Wren to bring out the previous caution. If you're entering a little bit faster, even exiting a little bit fast through 1 and 2 especially, it seems super loose, these ARCAs at the moment. Goodness me.
Oh, the adrenaline is still coursing through my veins, seeing that number 93 with that save 1 lap ago. That is the stuff of legends. Hey, Jeff, if you're tuning into this broadcast afterwards, clip that and put it out on the socials. That was absolutely fantastic. It's still fantastic racing, though. Look at Larry Pace. I thought I was going to try and pull off a pass in the grass on the inside as they had their way up through the tri-oval, the 48, the 72, the 93, the 42, and the 00, all covered by the square root of nothing. As they head their way off through turns number 1 and 2 on the back straightaway into 3 right now. Maconi looking to hold on to that race lead and just drive off into the distance. Can't even say driving off into the sunset. The sun has set for this racetrack here at Kansas Speedway, and right now he's just looking to hold on to that torch and run away from the field.
Well, looking, oh dear, again, Grayson was having a look down the inside there and just really has his line taken away there by Larry Pace, and see how tight the car got on the low side. It's the difference with the high side where it does seem to get a little bit more loose. It's tight on the low side. Very interesting here at Kansas, I've got to say, as Maconi continues to lead. We've passed 1/3 distance, by the way, here tonight from Kansas. We're running 150 miles. It's the 1.5 mile circuit, as you may know, and we're running 150 tonight, already through 50 miles. And Maconi has led most of the laps, although you've got to say has been coming under a lot of challenge from lots of drivers behind. Larry Pace already is coming back up to challenge again after starting the last restart towards the back.
Oh, and that was a close moment with the 93 and the 17. It sounded like I sat on a cold toilet seat. That was sketchy stuff as they had their way down the back straight over there. 3 wide right behind. Look at the 42 in the middle of that sandwich. The 9 running all the way down onto the grass as they had their way off through the tri-oval. All of these racers, they got a little bit impatient, I feel, despite the fact that we're not even at the halfway mark of this 100 lap long race. They're throwing haymakers at each other, giving us a lot of points of concern here on the broadcast booth. I gotta say, the tow truck drivers are how hard these drivers are racing, and the drama we've already had thus far probably gonna earn their money tonight. These racers really giving each other hell.
Big slipstream here, big draft for Tyler Alexander, who's going to look to the inside in 72. Look for the race lead, side by side. Maconi running the middle here, not quite up next to the wall, but that has been where Maconi's been almost unbeatable so far here tonight. Pace gets into his draft now and looks to the low side as well. A swap for second, a challenge, the same as what Alexander does, but Larry Pace is so strong through both ends of the racetrack, in fact. And he's going to lead this lap just about in front of Maconi.
Yeah, now I gotta wonder what Maconi's response to this is going to be. Is he gonna lay back and take it easy and maybe decide to save up a little bit of rubber, or is he just going to try and throw every single thing at the 00 of pace to keep it side by side? He's still alongside and pulls ahead as they head their way down into turn number 3, but Maconi, oh boy, I thought that was going to end in a crash as they head their way off through the turn. It nearly ends in disaster yet again. These racers getting very flirtatious with the sides of each other's cars.
Oh, Tyler Alexander through the middle. Look at this. That's going to just hold Maconi hostage up high there. Next to the wall, he's going to get a huge run-off of 2, though. On the way down the backstretch, here he goes. Looks to the inside. Larry Pace doesn't want him down there, I don't think. He tried to chase him across the racetrack into 3 and 4. Maconi on the inside might just do the slide job. Will he? Not quite. Doesn't get in front of him. And here comes Pace again. Side by side over the line. Pretty much a photo as they went over the line there at the end of 39. What a great battle for the race lead. This is probably the battle of the race so far because it involves pretty much the whole field.
Oh, as the driver ended up on the wall a little bit farther in the back of shots. All the smoke coming up in the air. I think that was the 9 of Shane Jenkins. As look at the 93 with a whole head of speed heading down into turn number 3 and 4. He's now trying to get involved in that battle for the podium. It's the 48 of Brianna Thompson that stuck a 3 wide down into 1 and 2 not terribly long ago. But all these racers deciding to give each other all sorts of different headaches, being a thorn in each other's side. Maconi not really yielding in that battle up in the front. That's a driver ending up on the wall. That's a 17. So after coming back from a couple laps down, Terry Henry not really doing too well at the moment. Slide down in P8, just lost out on a spot to Fedler in the number 77 machine. So not ideal for him at all. Maconi jumps in front of Pace. I gotta wonder what the strategy is for Pace in that 00 car.
Yeah, you do have to wonder. It's just fantastic racing though, isn't it? All the way through the field. It's the top 12 going through on your screen right there, all in one go, in 1.2 seconds. A few of the guys further off the back still on the lead lap at the moment. Mike Rumbold and Abram Ghoston will still be in the game. Hopefully, if there's a caution, they'll be back in touch again. Dylan Lee, Jason Wren and Kevin Marsh already out of the race today inside half distance. Maconi continues to lead. Larry Pace second. Brianna Thompson and Zane Yost, meanwhile, battle for third place. Oh, few touches on the wall as well. If this battle for third gets out of control, the top 2 might well get clear again, much like they did earlier.
So we'll have to keep eyes on that gap between your front 2 and your P3 runner, which is currently Zane Yost, albeit that P3 spot has swapped so many times ever since that latest restart that, frankly, the fact it's held on to one name for this entire jibber-jabber that I'm in the midst of right now, rather surprising. But Larry Pace, who we're riding on board with right now in the coattails of Maconi, will he decide to go for a move? Survey says he will look down the inside into turn number 3 and 4. Maconi keeping that momentum rolling on the high side. Pace just looking to shorten up that track and get that spot, but here comes Maconi once again, keeping that momentum rolling, keeping that speed up and rolling as well. Both these two going side by side. Look at Zane Yost and Brianna Thompson right there as well. That's a sort of yo-yo effect that we've got. As soon as these racers up in the front start to battle, then it kind of cascades from there because the drivers behind catch up, and then we got battles for second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th.
And Jenkins was just in the walled off of turn 2 there in the background, and Jenkins, don't forget, was really damaged earlier on in the race. Has definitely used a fast repair on that 9 car and is back in the lead lap again and back in contention again. 3 wide nearly for 4th place there as Maconi, Pace and Yost restore their mark over the top 3 that they've had over the course of this race so far. Again, they are clear again. There are fast repairs, by the way, being used by the others. Maconi hasn't used it yet. Neither has Pace, Fielder, Alexander or Brian Cook. Warren Cook neither. Mike Rumbold and Abram Ghoston neither as well. But that's quite a lot of drivers, Ron, who are teetering on the edge here of a long repair.
Yeah, so their Red Bull supplies have been entirely exhausted. Their mechanics are exhausted at the moment, so they are going to have to hope that they can get through the rest of this race clean, as that could have ended in catastrophe with the 23 and the 48 coming to blows coming out of turn number 2. Now they're nearly fanning out 4 wide down the backstretch. You can see the 23 and the 48 tracking mid-ground, the 9 looking on the high side, and the 77 of Logan Fettler looking to try and find any way in the book to get past these racers. Thierry Henry in the midst of this battle right now. 5 cars covered by just about nothing as they lick the stamp and set it off into 1 and 2 for yet another attempt at getting moves done on each other. The 48 of Brianna Thompson and the 23 of Jeff Weimer. I think if there's any sort of point of contention for all of these racers, that would probably be where it starts to flare up big time.
Oh, that was close again between Jenkins and Henry. Oh, and Terry Henry just shoving the 9 car up high there off of turn 4. There's good racing between these two. Just after a moment of single file, pretty much amongst everybody there. Weimer and Fielder are the same. Oh, loose! Oh, and Jenkins saves it. Little bit of assistance there from Henry, who just placed his car there in the right position, and Jenkins is pretty lucky. That was a big save from the 9 car.
We have had so many code brand moments up to this point that I'm sure that Shane Jenkins is kind of just like, you know what? Okay, just save it. No big deal. No worries. These racers have really been through the ringer in the first half of this race. We've had a lot of drama, but we still got the rest of the race left to go. This is absolutely fantastic that we're seeing right now here at Kansas. Looking at the battling going on right in front. All of those racers still duking it out for every single spot. That 5-car battle that we were touching on not too long ago, still giving us some good stuff to talk about. Let's look at the 72 kicking on the Cuisinarts, heading down the inside of Shane Jenkins. That was rather convincing from Tyler Alexander.
75 miles done here from Kansas, 50 laps and 75 miles still to go as Fielder, it looked like he was dropping down the field a little bit there. Was I seeing that wrong? So, no, Fielder's still 7th. Who was dropping down? Can't remember. Somebody was. Warren Cook and Ronald Grayson, though, are not any longer involved in this group at the front of the field, which is starting to thin out due to the speed as Larry Pace takes the lead through 3 and 4. Jeff Maconi giving that one up just inside the second half of this race. These two have been the pick of the bunch so far.
Yeah, those two have been itchy and scratchy. The unstoppable force and the immovable object at the front of this field. Let's just wait and see how long it will be until these two finally combine. Then we'll finally be able to answer that age-old question. But Pace and Maconi battling again in one of these ARCA boot camp races, whether it be some of the events that we've run in the past at Michigan, some of the events that we've run in the past at it was at Nashville where we really started to see these two start to duke it out, where Larry Pace took the lion's share of victories in that small low mini series. Pace looking to try and kick off this small little series here at Kansas with a win. But right now, Maconi dropping down big time. That's a big slide from the 2 right behind. That was a 48 and the 17 coming up blows to the 23 of Jeff Weimer, looking to jump his way up into the top 5. Going to do it and get oh so close to the back of the 48. Holy cow, these racers clearly do not fear death.
Certainly not at the moment. Look at this, 3 wide nearly. Oh, and a big hit there. Thompson got a shove from Terry Henry and got loose as a result on the tri-oval. Goodness me, that was not advisable. Henry might have done some damage to his front end as well, though it doesn't look like anything really. It's a big shove down the front stretch, that's for sure. As Wimmer again on the outside in 23, staying very high. Not quite next to the wall, but pretty close. As Maconi again looks to the low side of Pace. Great battle for the lead. This is just great battle after great battle here from Kansas so far.
Yeah. I feel like I'm at the point now where I can't even say I'm surprised about Larry Pace and Jeff Maconi going side by side. They've been doing it pretty much ever since a drop of the green flag, and when they haven't been side by side, they have been rather close, both when it comes to time and when it comes to distance between the two cars. But now Pace holding on to that high side. Interesting to see Maconi running the inside line. Looks like he has a versatile race car. They nearly had a wrecked race car with Pace nearly driving off into the side of Maconi coming out of the turn, and now you can see yet again that game of momentum coming out of these corners, heading down the straightaways, helping out Pace a ton. But Maconi just holding dominance onto that inside line. I think as long as Jeff doesn't burn his stuff up too much, I think he's got a real good chance here. Right as I say that, Larry Pace clears up.
Oh, and they're scraping the wall as well. Not sure whether they actually were or whether that was just a bit of netcode there, but Yost to get very close to them now. this front three, the same trio, break away from the rest of the field. 45 to go here from Kansas in Maconi Entertainment's ARCA series from Kansas Motor Speedway. Been a great race so far, and it continues. Fourth place, Henry and Thompson were pretty close to contact again there. And in the background, Weimer and Alexander are nearly side by side. Logan Fielder there as well. And that 5-car group, it's thinning out, but the same racing remains. It is side by side everywhere.
Side by side, occasionally 3 wide. I think we have stuck at 4 wide occasionally, but you know, there's only so many times you can go 4 wide here in these ARCA cars at Kansas before I feel like something is going to break. So I think these races have been a bit more hesitant to do that as of late. As Zane Yost, I think, tagged the wall coming out of the turns. You can hear the smoke coming up as these racers scrape against the wall. That's a 48 of Brianna Thompson with a moment all through the turn as well. Let's take a look at a replay. Speaking of Brianna Thompson in the 48 machine, let's see this replay. Adding off into turn, no, actually, no, that's a save from the 93. Holy cow! He barely even scraped the wall too.
That was the one earlier on. Oh, and Jeff Maconi's in. What's gone on here? 42 to go, and Jeff Maconi is into pit lane after just over 30 laps. So if you wanted to split the rest of the race in half, then you'd at least 5 more. But Maconi deciding that a green flag stop right now is the call.
Interesting. Very, very interesting from Maconi. Now, a yellow at this exact point in time would be an absolute catastrophe for him. I shouldn't say that, because if that was a jinx, this would probably be my last ever show here at Maconi Entertainment. But there he is coming out of the pits right now, and we'll have to see how it's all going to work out for him, and that rather intriguing strategy. All these racers, though, out on track. If I were Jeff, I wouldn't feel 100% confident about that strategy, just for the simple sake that although we are in the longest green flag run up to this point here tonight, these racers are still not handling each other with kit gloves. They are still, and the gloves are made out of steel wool.
Not the only driver to come down pit lane either, by the way, Jeff Maconi. And also seen Terry Henry in the last couple of moments. So that is what's defining this field at the moment. There out the pit lane comes Yost. Or is he just had a half spin there? Oh, that was Henry. Yost is gone. That's why I thought it was Yost, because he's disappeared completely. He may have disconnected because he's not on the timing screen anymore. He's not in iRacing anymore. And unfortunately, it looks like the 93 has indeed disconnected.
Yeah, that right there, I think, is a UFO from the number 93 of Zane Yost. So clearly, the Martians have come to Kansas, and they have come for your 1-point podium runner of Zane Yost. That's an unfortunate moment there. I don't want to know what's going on in that spacecraft right now as he goes off to the planet Zog. But we look now at this 4-car battle, still running rather strong with the 77. Yeah, there at the front. My apologies. That's Fielder over Weimer. Is that right? There's Brianna Thompson and Tyler Alexander nearly crashing on the backstretch.
That was Tyler Alexander coming straight through, and Brianna smashing the names together. Brianna Thompson, sorry, getting very loose off of 2. Big lead for Larry Pace at the moment. There you can see the difference in strategy between the two. Pace pitted under a caution at lap 7 before that caution where everybody came in, and that's pretty much the first notable green flag pit stop we've seen from anybody today. From Jeff Maconi. Last time round did a 30.0, which was 6 tenths quicker than Larry Pace, who leads the race.
Rather fascinating to see the pace differential and see what the deal is with these racers as we take a look at another lap here in a couple of moments. Time Maconi running down in 10th, and the gap slowly but surely going down between these racers. If Maconi can keep up that same sort of fortune, he may be coming out of this smelling like a bed of roses. Pace running up at the front all by his lonesome. 35 laps left to go. We now have Abram Ghostin making that call to come down pit lane in the number 22 car. Yes, we're on 36 laps left to go. I cannot read.
Brianna Thompson has disappeared as well. The drivers seem to have disconnected now. Oh, is it? Oh, Thompson's in the pit lane, that's why.
Ah, there we go. I thought it was another UFO.
Yeah. In the fence! In the fence there, in the outside wall. Who was that? Oh, Jeff Weimer, who was in the outside wall there, that was. And loses a place to Tyler Alexander. Now the battle for second place as Larry Pace continues. I wonder if he's hoping to catch a caution here or what he's trying.
Yeah, I gotta wonder what exactly is being cooked up behind the wheel of that 00 car for Larry Pace. Is he waiting for a yellow to come out? Is he just waiting for the tires to get worn down to the canvas? At this point, the field rather spread out, so it'd probably have to be a single car incident to bring a yellow out. So I think Larry Pace, if he is putting all his chips in that yellow coming out, putting all his chips in that basket, probably not gonna be a good strategy. That's a number 23 coming down pit lane of Jeff Weimer. So now the top 6 have stayed out here, but Larry Pace is really putting all his chips into the basket that we have a yellow coming out with how as far spread out this field is right now. Not sure that's going to be a good strategy. That's basically like liquidating all of your assets and spending it all on lottery tickets.
Well, Brian Cook and Warren Cook are both in pit lane now as well, so we've only got 4 left to pit now at the front of this race. Well, they can go a lot further on fuel than that, so they can leave this a little while if they want to, but the more spread out this field gets, like the less I feel there is going to be a caution. Sometimes earlier on, looking at the pack racing we were seeing, and you thought, there's going to be a caution any minute now, but that's just not been the case ever since these pit stops have started and the field's thinned out. If Pace is trying to catch a caution and this is his strategy, I'm not sure it's going to work.
Not really too sure. There's a lot of loose ends at the moment as there's Larry Pace finally making that call to come down pit lane, and that machine will give the race lead to Logan Fedler, who stays out for one more lap. Everybody else now making that call to come down pit lane. Let's keep an eye on Jeff Maconi to see where he's going to be. There he is. I think he just crossed the line a couple of moments ago, potentially, as I gotta wonder, will he be able to retake the lead with the quick laps that he's been saying? And you can see those times haven't been too far apart as of recent moments. Maconi, as much as he did have a big advantage in those first couple of laps at pit lane, it has gone away a little bit. So let's see how it will work out for him.
Going to get into the lead here, Maconi. I'm very sure of that. But how big is his lead going to be is the bigger question. There goes Pace. Careful on the exit. Remember, you're cornering without the assistance of the gradient there, and crosses that blue line. He can enter the racetrack and straight through Jeff Maconi. So it will be a few seconds, but Pace is just gently over the course of the next 30 laps going to bring that back and hopefully set up a grandstand finish between the two. There you have it, 11 laps between them on tyres.
I gotta say, I was expecting that gap to be a little bit smaller between Maconi and Pace. It's still a comfortable margin, but 1.2 seconds, that can certainly disappear in the blink of an eye with Pace on some slightly newer tires compared to Maconi. You can see that difference in still lengths. 12 laps already for Maconi, only 1 for Larry Pace. So you can do the math from there. That is not a whole lot of good news for Maconi, if I'm being completely honest. And already that gap now down to about 3/4 of a second. Again, catching up is one thing, passing is another, but Larry Pace really kicking up the work. You can see half a second gained already on that last lap alone. Pace reeling in Jeff Maconi like an XSM missile.
Well, because Maconi earlier didn't have any draft when he was reeling him in, so Larry Pace has got that double gain, if you like. He did those first couple of attempts on his own, but then when he started to get within a second or so, he's just got the draft and he's roaring up to the back of Jeff Maconi now. 28 to go it will be. Pace will set another fastest lap there that's way quicker than Maconi, 7/10 of a second. The tyres coupled with the slipstream is allowing Larry Pace to put big pressure on Jeff Maconi right now in this battle for the race win.
And now the fight is on. You can see that 00 right to the back as Maconi gets up in the wall. Big wiggle from him, and that's through into the race lead for Larry Pace.
That is that for now. 3/10 of a second. Now Maconi's big job is to just put that to the back of his mind. Maybe don't run quite that high again. And get into the slipstream of Pace. Try and use that to just stay with him while that tyre difference just levels out as you get a bit later on in the stint. And then he can come back again to try and get that race win back.
Yeah, at this point in time, Maconi going to have to throw something at the wall to see if it's going to work. We're hearing as well that Maconi apparently said exactly as that moment took place between himself and Pace, I blew it. That is not very confident from Maconi. Not a lot of racing action left to go. Only a quarter of this race left at the line for pace. Maconi, he's going to have to hope for a big swing at the end of this. We've got a good battle going on right now. This is battle for third between Brianna Thompson and Jeff Weimer. You can see those racers close to contact as they head their way off through turn number 2. Thompson holding on to a tight line on the back straightaway. And now the 77 of Logan Fielder in the midst of all that.
It's going to be perhaps the most interesting battle of them all. A look through the middle maybe from Fielder here. Oh, hello. This is a bit of indecision. Doesn't quite know whether to go free wide there, and perhaps not just yet was the eventual decision. Thompson will take third place. But I don't know about you, I feel that's a bit early to call it, if you like, for Jeff Maconi. I think he's still right in this race, and he's got a decent chance. 8 tenths behind at the moment, but if he holds on to the slipstream, as I say, the difference in tyres will level out a little bit later on, and surely he can get back in the game with the draft here at Kansas, but maybe he doesn't believe in himself quite as much.
See, here's the thing. I say this as someone who did karting racing for as long as I did. One main key that some racers try and do is essentially just talk themselves down and beat the crap out of themselves with their own words to essentially motivate themselves in doing well. It's basically how Lewis Hamilton always used to say that his tires were dead, and then he would go on to set the fast lap of the race last time by. So Maconi, he may not be really catching up to pace in that gap, maybe ballooning at now to 1.3 seconds. But if Larry Pace burns up his stuff, or if we have a late yellow between now and the end of this race, and he could potentially make that call to come down pit lane, then we could maybe talk about Maconi having a bounce back. Let's just find out, though. Still plenty of racing action left to go here at Kansas. May not be a lot of distance, only about 36 miles left to go here tonight, but that's still 36 miles that Maconi has in his back pocket to make a comeback.
Maths there, by the way, doing 150 divided by 4 in your head. As you were talking, about a quarter of the way to go.
See, that's the best level of multitasking I've done ever since I got out of the cart.
See, still in there. Fielder on the inside of Alexander, and might well try and take Thompson in one go there, though that would be pretty difficult to do. Jeff Weimer is going to do the same as well. Side by side, 5th place is a 4-car battle for 3rd, and Thompson and Fielder will continue that. Oh, 48 there was just on a bit of a crash course, so it looked like they're going to converge for a moment, but Thompson has done a very good job of keeping this 3rd place ever since gaining it, and is now keeping these 3 at play. They're fighting amongst themselves. Fielder, Alexander, side by side. Jeff Weimer as well, trying to look to the inside as well, and Thompson again up high. Fielder pressuring, and this looks like it's going to be a race-long battle for these final 20 laps.
Yeah, still going to be close between all of these competitors. Look at the 77 of Fielder on the inside of Thompson. That gets crowded down to the inside line, and that's going to be Thompson jumping out to Thursday. Head their way down the back straightaway, off into 3 and 4 in a few moments, and just utilizing that drift a teeny tiny bit to potentially draw back alongside. Looking down the inside, that's close to contact. That had to have been a touch. There is no way that they made it through that without a small little run.
I think there might have been a touch as round the outside goes Tyler Alexander. He's very high there. And again, we'll stay there through 1 and 2. 3 wide for 3rd position. Here with 19 to go at Kansas. What a great battle between them as Jeff Weimer just sits back and admires and looks to see where he can gain through into 3 and 4. Oh, very high, very, very high from Tyler Alexander. And Thompson and Fielder will take those places straight back again.
He who giveth shall also taketh away, and these racers certainly learning that lesson the hard way as they head their way off into 1 and 2. The 48 of Brianna Thompson holding on to that final podium spot for now. Big drift coming out of turn number 2, hits the wall. That's going to kill off for momentum big time now. Look at the 72 and the 77. The 270s trying to back each other and figure out who's going to be the one to challenge Brianna Thompson for that final podium spot. Looks like it will be the 77 winning on that battle for now, but the 72 still there to pounce. And look at the 23, can never discredit him. He's just there lurking in the background as these racers throw haymaker after haymaker at each other.
It's fantastic. You can see that they're losing time to Pace, who's leading this race comfortably, and maybe Maconi was right that was the moment where Pace took the race lead for good. 3.5 seconds now, the gap that's just being extended out now. But this is the battle to watch. Thompson, Fielder, Alexander, 3 wide again. Jeff Weimer is just, I don't know if he's waiting for them to crash or he's just admiring what's going on in front, or he's plotting away through this, but that's super tight again. Thompson squeezes Alexander on the low side. Can't quite cut off Logan Fielder though. 77 right round the outside, and Logan Fielder now takes third.
Incredible stuff in this battle for that final podium spot. All of these racers giving us a brilliant show to talk about at the end of this race here on Maconi Entertainment. Pace now holds on to a 3.7 second lead up at the front. Maconi dropping down like a tungsten block thrown into a bowl of chicken noodle soup. At Fielder now holding on to that P3 spot and trying to build that gap as best as he can. Certainly helping him out in that case is the fact that Brianna Thompson and Tyler Alexander are starting to duke it out for fourth.
That might just allow Fielder away, but not yet. The gap's still close enough, and now that Thompson has just seen off Alexander this time round, they're going to get single file and bring Fielder right back into it again. I mean, I don't know about you, Ron. For me, this is sort of the perfect mix between super speedway racing and mile-and-a-half racing. It's not so, difficult that the field gets stretched out really quickly like you sometimes see on slower mile-and-a-halves, but it's not the sort of stupid super speedway racing you see at Atlanta, as Thompson and Alexander proving that again here. A great battle between them, and Alexander returns to fourth.
Holy cow, I thought that was going to end in a catastrophe heading down the back straightaway, but no, you're exactly right there, Ewan. This is a sort of 1.5 mile track that's perfect for these cars. It's just enough challenge to make sure that nobody really can get away with not having a good car and not being a good driver behind the wheel. You got to be quick and you got to be a good racer to run well in these events. The 48 heading up at the wall, coming out of turn number 1 and 2. It's just challenging enough to keep these racers on their toes, keep their cars on their toes as well. But again, you got that drift assistance, so if you make a small little mistake, if you have a little trip up, as long as you get some drift assistance, is not game over for you. There's so much that goes into doing well in a race here at Kansas, and we've seen that get put on full display all throughout this field, whether it be in this battle for third, whether it be in the battle for the win between Pace and Maconi, which still looks like that gap is growing now 4.6 seconds between those competitors. Kansas just has that perfect blend of many things going on. To make a good breakfast smoothie, you gotta have a good assortment of fruit. You can't just throw in a ball of tinfoil in there.
And Larry Pace continues to lead this race with 10 to go at the line. Just 15 miles to go. And it's been a great run to the finish. This has more than half the race covered under green flag conditions in one go. Hopefully it remains the same as Terry Henry. Oh no, that is a curse if ever I've seen it. Terry Henry has actually triggered our pit lane graphic there. Did he get run into as well? What is he doing? He's hit the grass. He's spun through the grass. He's triggered our pit lane warning and spun round as well. That was weird.
And that right there is actually a penalty that's going to go the way of Terry Henry, an unsafe pit exit. He was technically in the pits for a matter of about a 100th of a second, and I think he drove through about 7 feet. I mean, he did come down pit lane, but with that, as the black flag has now been cleared, yeah, an unsafe pit exit. I think he had some other issues on his hand at the time. This is going to be a full yellow cycle, and we'll have enough time to get this race restarted. So now we got to consider the prospect of pit stops at the end of this race here, Ewan. I mean, looking through the field, they're all very long into their stint. Larry Pace, 21 laps into his stint, and as a result, everybody, with the exception of maybe only 2 racers of Terry Henry and Warren Cook, deciding to come down pit lane.
Yeah, Warren Cook is a couple of laps down, so no surprises there. But what about Terry Henry? We get to the lead here. No, he's coming in as well. So yeah, that did trigger the pit thing on my graphic anyway, because he's only been out for a lap. It says, will anybody take 2? Is my question as well here. Doesn't look like it. Other than Ghoston, maybe. He might decide to. Everybody's taking 4, and yet Ghoston isn't going to try that either. So Pace wins the race off pit lane. Maconi, Fielder, Weimer, Alexander, the top 5, and they're going to be restacked for a breathless run to the finish.
And as we are in the closing stages of this race with a restart, I figured this is probably a little bit of good information to bring up in context to this event, considering the drama that we had in the early stages as well. These racers do have some green-white checkered attempts that will be allotted to them in case of any sort of drama that may go on in the late stages of this event. 3 green-white checkers allotted to these competitors. So if we do have to go into overtime, we will have a decent amount of overtime to go over on the time.
Okay, good to know, because you're right, there could be some usage of those in the next few moments. We're going to have 7 to go when we go back green. They're racing around the outside, goes Warren Cook. He's been given both his laps back, so he's now in 11th and on the lead lap again. And so that will be 11 drivers. Terry Henry not included in one of them. He looks like he's parked it. Oh, no, he's back again after a long stop. 1 lap down, so might need a green-white checker as well himself. But anyway, 11 on the lead lap. 11 fighting for the win, effectively, Ron, because anybody who's in the race, literally, has got a chance.
Everybody has a good opportunity. You got some fresh tires. You may have a little bit of luck on your side, and you could walk out of this race smelling like a bed of roses. Walk away with a bottle of champagne and a trophy as well. No trophies being given, no prizes to these racers here on ARCA's boot camp. We're just basically here for bragging rights, and so Jeff can have some time to get acclimatized to that ARCA machine before he runs that race in real life in a couple of weeks. But yeah, everybody really in this camera shot has a good shot to win. If the pace car wins, I'd be a little bit surprised though.
Done a few laps tonight, but not enough to win, unfortunately, for the pace car driver, as Larry Pace brings them to the green again. 7 to go here from Kansas. And oh, look at that run in the background from Terry Henry, is that, who's coming right around the outside. It certainly is. And he's just going to slow down a little bit. He's not going to take the mick completely and take all these positions. But Logan Fielder is going to come down the inside. Up to second already. Jeff Maconi going backwards initially on this restart.
Yeah, I think unfortunately they're in that pit stop. They fueled Maconi's car with half and half creamer because he is dropping down like a stone thrown into a pond. That's a wall tap from the 9 off into turns number 3 and 4. He's not going to have to fight just to remain in P2. Larry Pace utilizing this opportunity to full-on effect to jump out into a lead now, 0.3 of a second. Not the big gap, though, that Pace may have had in mind, and Maconi certainly got to rip that high side to try and close up that distance. Maconi's been quick on the short run, but the one thing that's going to hurt him is the fact that he's still side by side as they're wrecking behind.
They are, and that might be another caution. 22 car down to the low side. Abram Ghoston, not the first time, unfortunately. We're staying green at the moment, and it looks like we might well do. So lost a couple from the back of the field. Warren Cook and Abram Ghoston seems to be out of the game, as Pace again trying to distance the rest, trying to give slipstream to those who he believes might well just get in the way of Maconi and the rest trying to date on. They've not managed it yet. That's tied off of 2. They're close to the wall again. They get away with it again.
Yeah, at this point, those racers fly ever so closer to the sun lap after lap with those moments coming out of turn number 2. It's allowing the front 2 of Pace and Maconi to really check out, but right behind, it is pandemonium. They're lucky that that moment that we saw a little bit earlier on didn't result in a yellow coming out, as that's a dive down into the turn from the 11 machine. That is not going to work. Contact being made with a 48. Through goes the 9. That could have ended so much worse, though, as Mike Wombold licked the stamp and sent it off in the turn. Now Maconi feeling some pressure from Logan Fielder.
Huge send there from Wombold on the inside line, but gets away with it just about. Pace continues to lead with 3 to go, and every time that Maconi's challenged, whether it's by Fielder or anybody else, he continues to lose time to Larry Pace, who's really got a stranglehold over this one for the moment. Side by side for second. Maconi close to the wall, pushing hard now, but look at the gap to Pace. He wants to try and decrease that gap, but continues to be challenged here by Logan Fielder for second.
Oh, and in all of this, Larry Pace driving off into the distance now, holding on to a 0.4 of a second gap. Maconi pretty much having to do a balancing act with chainsaws as he sees those racers all behind him, trying to find any way in the book to get past him and jumping their way up into P2. Logan Fedler behind the wheel of that number 77 car, unless the L and the D have been swapped on our live timing thing. I think that may actually be his name. Weimer right behind him, P4 though. Those two are looking to duke it out. I think Maconi's shaking him off like a bad case of the fleas for now, but Larry Pace is shaking everybody off.
White flag here from Kansas. One more lap to go and Larry Pace continues to lead, but Jeff Maconi has cleared the others. He's got the slipstream now and he's closing on the race leader, Larry Pace. He's led the last 30 laps pretty much uninterrupted here, Larry Pace, ever since taking the lead off Jeff Maconi on that run to the finish line. And again, it looks like it's going to be a close finish between the two. Pace, out of 4, is going to win in the ARCAs from Kansas, just in front of Jeff Maconi. They wreck behind as Larry Pace wins from Kansas.
Oh, goodness me. That was a horrific hit into the outside wall. I'm not sure who that was, but they need to go on a trip to the hospital. I think that may have been Terry Henry, who just smacked the outside wall with such ferocious force. Okay, let's see this. It was a 9-17. Yeah, it was the number 9 of Shane Jenkins and the 17 of Terry Henry. Oh, goodness me.
Terry Henry in the end, by the way, getting a top 5 despite dropping a lap down and causing that final caution that gave us the exciting run to the finish. Big hit for him. I'm still going to say that Zen Yost's hit earlier was Jason Wren's, was a bit bigger earlier on, but there you go. Big contact with the wall. Just through the tri-oval, and thankfully they're not going to need those cars again because that's a very big hit indeed for the two of them. Let's bring up the race results and see where everybody finished at the end of this ARCA race from Kansas here tonight. After 100 laps of racing, it's Larry Pace, the Canadian, winning ahead of the Americans. Jeff Maconi finishing in second place, with Tyler Alexander not quite able to get involved in the end. Brianna Thompson finishes in the top 5 with Terry Henry, who just beat Shane Jenkins to the line. Mike Wombo was 7th, and a Logan Fielder, who did drop a few places right at the end. Brian Cook within 3 seconds of the win from 9th, with Jeff Weimer also dropping quite a long way down, though did manage the top 10 in the end. Lauren Cook was on the lead lap. Abram Ghostin got caught up in an incident 5 laps from the finish. Zen Yost was just inside the second half of the race, crash with Ronald Grayson 2 laps earlier as well. Dylan Lee, Jason Wren, Kevin Marsh all retired early in the race, the first half, when the rest of them did not start. Let's have a chat to our race winner, shall we? Larry Pace, who wins tonight by just over a tenth of a second. Larry, welcome in. Good to have you with us. Tell us about those final few laps. 7-lap free start. You had control of it right, I thought, until the white flag lap, where you may have got a little bit nervous. Tell us how you were feeling and how confident you were on that last lap.
Well, that last restart fired off pretty good. Had a pretty large lead and tried to maintain that for as long as I can. You don't really get a huge run on the car in front of you until you're about 3/10 behind the car you're trying to draft off of. So if I could keep them more than 3/10 back, I knew I had a pretty good shot just to hang on to it. I saw Jeff closing in. He was going to be in that 3/10 range if he wasn't at the very end there. So it might have been good if we had another lap or two, but was able to keep the lead.
Yeah, and tell us about the racing and how you enjoy it around here at Kansas. Got to say, I thoroughly enjoy watching it. But what's it like for a driver? Sort of what I'm going to call a semi-super speedway, if that's a term I can use. How is it to drive around here?
That sucks. No, I'm just kidding. It's this actually, it drove okay tonight. I'm not a huge fan of this car on intermediates, but the setup drove pretty fun. It was flat out when you're by yourself, but in a pack and racing with people, it was pretty fun. You had to lift in different points and whatnot, and it could get free if you entered up high, and it would get tight if you drove it in too deep through the center. So it was fun to manage that. Had a fun little battle with Jeff, I think, in the middle of the race, which was a good time. I went to the back a few times just to kind of learn what the car does in traffic, and yeah, overall I had a bit of fun.
Absolutely. Congrats on the win tonight, Larry. Thanks for coming to chat to us after the race. And I'm sure we'll see you again very soon.
Thanks very much. Thanks for doing the broadcast, guys. Take care.
So much. That's Larry Pace, who wins tonight by just over a tenth of a second. Ahead of Jeff Maconi. who can now join us as well. Jeff, welcome in. Good to have you with us, and congrats on finishing second tonight. How are you feeling at the end of that one? Pleased?
I feel the same as I did every time I ran Nashville with Larry, because I always finish second to him. He's, there's a lot of drivers that are better drivers than I am, and there's a lot that are smarter drivers than I am, and I can usually leverage one against the other to try and finish well. But Larry is one of the few people that I know going into a race, I have to be on top of my game every single second of every single lap. He is, and I'm not saying this just to say it, I mean, he is one of, if not the best drivers on iRacing. And so I know how smart of a driver he is, and I know I can't fall into his traps, which I am very prone to doing. I burnt my stuff up a little bit earlier, but that was almost by design, trying to just see how far I could push it, and then tried the pit strategy. I was going to finish second either way if I didn't try something new, so might as well throw spaghetti at the wall to see what stuck. But I feel good. I mean, I know if I can beat everyone except Larry, I'm probably in a pretty good position. So it was a ton of fun. I love racing with him. I have a ton of fun with these boot camp races, but definitely he is. Once I beat Larry, I will finally feel good going to the track. Like I can do this,
Yeah, that will be a big confidence boost, and we'll of course be here for the next few weeks to see it. But just to dive into that for a second, I want to go back to a comment that I'm told you said after Larry overtook you on that long green flag run, just after you'd made your stop, and then he had jumped ahead of you. You scraped the wall, and then he jumped ahead of you. You said that you'd blew it completely, and I thought it was still going to be a close race from that point on. Admittedly, you did drop 3 seconds away from that point onwards, but what was it that made you sort of think that you'd blown it already? When, let's not forget, that the difference on tyres wasn't massive, and everything to that point pointed towards a close race between the two of you.
Well, it's one of those things at Kansas especially where tires aren't everything after about 10 to 15 laps. It's you plateau at about 30.5 in traffic, and in clean air about 30.2s. You'll consistently run those lap times. So I knew when I didn't pull as much as I needed to pull probably about 6 seconds on him, and I only pulled about 1.5 seconds to 2. I knew from that point, like with the short time of the tire advantage that he had over me, he would have me. And plus, scraping the wall kills your momentum, and yet, like he was saying, you have to stay within about 2-3 tenths of someone to really have a chance at him. So I knew from there I would need a caution, but with how good he is, as soon as he got around me and broke away by 0.5 second in the first run before I pit, I knew he would be in good shape. So it was one of those things where you just gotta try something new. I mean, worst case scenario, I finished where I was already running, so might as well try it, see how it works. And now I know I have another tool in my arsenal for next week to see how well it goes, and we'll see how that race shapes out.
Absolutely, we will. Just before you go, Jeff, tell us a little bit about the roadmap between now and the real life race coming up in a few weeks' time.
Well, a lot of training on iRacing, a lot of focusing on what I need to do as a driver. I think the mental aspect of racing is often underappreciated, and I've learned that the mindset that you have and the focus you need to keep throughout the races is crucial. So I'm going to be focusing a lot on getting myself mentally prepared. Coming off of a rough weekend at Madison where we unloaded and were battling the car all day and just couldn't really find any speed. And the 86, I should be beating a couple of the other drivers. I should be beating the 48. I should be beating the 9, the 12, the guys that were around in points. I feel like the car is capable of doing that. And so when we were, 3-4 seconds off the pace at Madison, I was very unhappy with myself because I knew I should have driven it better. So Granted, it ended up being a blown left rear shock, and so I couldn't really put any power down. And it's nice to have that the ability to look back on it and say, okay, there was a mechanical failure as well, but I still mentally was beating myself up, and so now I need to focus on Kansas, focus on the next step. Hey, here's what we need to do. I'm going to be at the track at Bristol next week, just helping out there with the 03 and 86. That's going to be a ton of fun. I really like going there. Salem's going to be a really cool race. We're trying some new stuff for Kansas. It's very similar to Michigan, where I ran. It was a start and park earlier this year, but for the time I was in the car, it went very well. I was ahead of a couple other cars. I even beat the 03 in practice. So I know the car is good at intermediates. With some of the changes we're making, we actually should be pretty solid. So just really the biggest thing is getting myself mentally ready and focusing on, okay, we're going to bounce back from Madison. We had a bad weekend there. We're not where we want to be in the points for the 86, the owner's points, and now we got to strap in, do what we need to do, and have some good races coming up. Otherwise, we're going to be in a real rough position with owner's points, because that dictates Daytona for next year, and we need that car to be in a better place. So that's going to be the biggest thing, but I'm really looking forward to it.
And we're looking forward to seeing you there. 4 weeks, 2 days until that race. So yeah, we look forward to it, Jeff. But for now, thanks for coming to chat to us tonight. A good run. We enjoyed watching you out there as always. And we'll of course see you next week.
Thank you. Yep, we're doing the same race, same time next week. It's going to be so much fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Got to give a huge shout out to all the sponsors as well. Maconi Setup Shop, you guys here at Maconi Entertainment. Prosper Engineering is going to be back on the car. I can't say for sure at Kansas because something else may come up. We'll see. They will be back on the car. It's just a question of where. Chastity Tucker is a realtor here in Clarksville, and she's amazing. So if you're looking to move to Clarksville, Tennessee, it's an amazing place. I live here. It's lovely. Or in the Nashville area, she can help you. I highly recommend her. She's a lifesaver. 4K Motorsports, Big Fish Barbecue, Abruzzi Racewear, WSMN, Victory Sim, everyone on the car that helps make this possible. We've got the Dairy Bar in Liberty Center, Ohio, who's going to be on the car at some point this season, and maybe I shouldn't have just said that, but they will be on the car. So looking forward to that as well. I think that's probably the last thing that Alex Club and I need is a ice cream restaurant sponsor, but boy, is it going to be a fun one.
Thanks for coming to chat to us, Jeff, as always. And yeah, we'll see you next week, if not before.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks so much. Jeff Maconi there chatting to us at the end tonight of this race. You can see the details, by the way, on your screen while Jeff was talking about them. 4 weeks, 2 days until that race at Kansas. It'll be 100 laps like this one here tonight. And I've got to say, Ron, probably looking forward to next week after this. I mean, I call them semi-super speedways. I know that there's a proper technical term for these type of circuits, but this is exactly everything that this kind of, in my opinion anyway, this kind of circuit can and should be here from Kansas. Maybe it's just these cars, as you said earlier, that suit this type really, really well. But that was a fantastic race, and we get to watch a few more of those.
Yeah, that was super, super fun. We'll be able to cover the action over the next couple of weeks here at Maconi Entertainment. Same time, same place, every single Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can see the information on screen right now. And again, this is a hosted session. So if you want to be out there on the racetrack, you can log on to iRacing, get the ARCA car, get Kansas, and rip it around this. It was fun. And I got to say, Ewan, I am a fan of the term semi-super speedway. That's more fun of a name than intermediate. Intermediate, it sounds like I'm having to fill out my taxes or something like that. Semi-super speedway, that just sounds more fun.
It feels sort of almost like too, I don't know what the word is, but too technical or whatever. But commentators like us, we need something a bit more simple. That's a term I can recognise. So there we go. That's just about it from us here tonight. As Ron just said, there we'll be back next 4 weeks actually for this series. Every Wednesday night you can join in at 6:30 Eastern Time will be the green flag for another 100 laps, another 150 miles from Kansas Motor Speedway, and very much looking forward to it. For now, though, I've been Neil O'Leary alongside Ron Mounds, and Harry Burrows has been behind the cameras here tonight of this Maconi Entertainment broadcast from Kansas Speedway. We will be back in 7 days' time with this series, of course, and a lot sooner with all the other broadcasts here on Maconi Entertainment. But for now, from us, it's goodbye.